Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of The Vault of Cult with your host Chris and...
Mark, you alright?
Yeah, you alright? Well, I'm alright, are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Excited.
Oh, brilliant, me too. I hope you guys listening are all okay as well. Welcome back guys. Just want to say, support is absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much for listening. And
Thank you.
As always, tell the people, do the medias,
The
do all of
socials,
the media, do the socials.
on those, the Twitters.
Yeah, and all others lest they be named.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the Googles.
And the Googles,
Get it up there.
and the Facebooks.
Share
and
it,
all of
post it.
Yeah.
Why else stick it? No.
I don't know whether that's it. Yeah, stick it on a post-it.
Stick it on a post-it for someone, yeah.
Put it on the desk and go, bang, there you go. Listen to that. Stuff.
Good stuff. Right, guys, yeah, so really appreciate the support. Thank you very much. And again, you know, we really appreciate if you get it out there on social medias, share it out there. Appreciate it. So, Mark, on this week's episode, what are we treating to our lovely listeners to this week?
Today, we are doing the classic British comedy, wonderful film, The Full Monty.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
The Full Monty.
Full Monty.
We're going there.
We're going all the way.
We're doing the Full
Full
Monty.
Monty!
We're going to do the Full Monty. So, guys, yeah, welcome to the show. And this week's episode is about the Full Monty. So, here we go. But before we get started on the Full Monty,
Yeah. We have to do, as always,
beverage for the show. Beverage for the show. And
Yeah.
today's beverage, Mark, is brought to us by
Olivia Smith.
Olivia Smith.
Yeah.
We work with Olivia.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
may
Hiya.
know her. Hiya. Hello. Are you
Hello.
listening? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
She doesn't.
No, she won't be.
I hope she does.
But she asked us today to drink some Budweiser
We're
for
on
our
Budweiser
Olivia.
today. And I like a Budweiser.
Yeah, it's alright, isn't it? Inoffensive.
Inoffensive. It's the middle of the road beer. It's better than Foster's and Carlin and all that shit.
Yeah, it's fine.
It's fine. So,
Thank you, Olivia. Cheers, Olivia.
Cheers, Olivia. Thank you for choosing the beverage for the show. So, guys, let's get to the meat and veg of why we're here. We're talking about the Full Monty. So, Mark, do you want to hit us up with a few facts and figures?
Yeah, a quick few facts and figures. It came out in August 1997. And here are its numbers.
Go for it, yeah.
It was made on a budget of £3.5 million. Modest budget.
Modest.
And so how much it made, bearing in mind it cost 3.5 million quid.
Yeah, it's not
it made 258 million
worldwide.
Overall. Yeah.
That's huge.
That is a huge amount of money.
Huge.
When you think successful film, 100%. 100%. Breakdown of that, it made 49, just nearly 50 million.
Where?
Domestically in the US. I mean, that's pretty tidy, but then add in the rest of the world, about 215 million.
What can you say about that?
You know what I mean? It's just a lot of monies.
It's a mega hit, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a low budget mega hit. Directed by a guy called Peter Cattaneo. Not really done much.
I'd never heard of him before.
Really?
No.
He's done another famous short called Dear Rosie. I mean, I'm not seeing it, but I'm never going to see it. But that's pretty much the only thing he's been recognised for, apart from the Full Monty. Film's written by a guy called Simon, is it Beaufoy? But he wrote Slumdog Millionaire.
Did he?
He wrote Slumdog Millionaire, mate. And he wrote a Hunger Games, Catching Fire.
He wrote A Hunger Games.
A Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, one of them stupid post-apocalyptic. I'm hungry or I'm running around a maze. One or the other. Maze runners.
It's one of them.
One of them.
Team action adventure.
Yeah. So yeah, he's especially Slumdog, you know, won an Oscar. So he's got things in his fire, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Produced by Film 4.
What? Was it?
Interesting. Yeah, Film 4, so it's funded partly by Film 4.
Yeah.
As was Trainspotting, that come out a year earlier. But that is another part of the story I think we'll get into further down the road.
Yeah.
Also, as well, it was the production studio was Fox a division of 20th Century Fox called Fox Searchlight. They financed a lot of small kind of indie films.
Yeah, they're smaller, rather than rather than the very Hollywood-based 20th Century Fox.
Yeah,
you know?
where you're talking tens of millions in a budget instead of like
exactly. So this was the B. What they thought be the B film,
the
B tier films, and given the amount of money, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right decision. So moving on to the cast, right? So the cast is made up of, first of all, the main character, Robert Carlyle, who plays Gaz, massive star for Trainspotting. He's been in a lot of things. I've just put. He was also in World Is Not Enough. He's the bad guy in World Is Not Enough. So he went from pretty much to being a Bond bad guy, and you've kind of made it then.
Yeah,
and you're happy days. Next character, his best mate, played by Mark Addy, called Dave. He was in just before this, was in a popular BBC comedy called The Thin Blue Line. It's got Rowan Atkinson in it.
It is very obscure, very obscure, but quite popular back in its day.
Very. He was also in Flintstones 2 as Fred Flintstone.
Was he? Good for him.
Good for him. He's made it to Hollywood. Also, he was in Game of Thrones. He played Baratheon.
He played
really good in Game of Thrones.
He's
Big
really
fat
good.
Bastard. Which is another theme in the film. Big fat bastards.
There's just a wonderful moment of him in Game of Thrones, and I always love it. The king's too fat for his armour. Bring the breastplate stretcher, and you're like, yes.
He's like, I don't care who fat bastards.
And I'm king.
Bigger.
I'm king.
Yeah,
big fat king. Cool. But yes, he plays his best mate in this.
Yeah. So right, the next gentleman out of the cast, an actor called Tom Wilkinson, a massive actor, been in hell of a lot of things. He plays a character called Gerald. Just a couple of things out of his filmography. He was in Shakespeare in Love, another famous British film. He was in another British film, Sense and Sensibility, so got chops.
One thing I've noticed about him, he always plays really good supporting roles.
Yeah, he's good. He's a decent actor. And he's in Batman Begins, as Falcone.
He's in a really good historical drama as well about the founding of the United States called John Adams, and he plays Benjamin Franklin. Really important figure, and he does it really well. Really well.
I've not seen it.
No, but
interesting.
Yeah, interesting.
He's a good actor. The next character in the film, played by Paul Barber, called Horse. Now, he's Denzel from Only Fools and Horses.
Of course he is.
It's Denzel. Yeah. I was like, I totally forgot he was in it.
Plays Horse in this.
Horse, kind of. We never find out why.
I think we do.
Maybe, we'll see. And then we've got a character played by Steve Hewson called Lumper. So he's like the ginger character in the film. The guy that eventually comes out as gay.
Yeah.
He tries to top himself.
Very put upon character.
Massively.
Only other thing I've ever seen him in is briefly in the BBC comedy The Dinner Ladies. Briefly, he has one small cameo. I've never seen him in anything else.
Do you know what else he's been in? Coronation Street.
That's why I wanted to say.
I know, I'm literally, that's all he's done. He's not done a lot.
He was in... The other thing I know him for is got a very small part in Dinner Ladies.
Right, is it?
Yeah.
I don't obviously. I've not seen it for a long time. Dinner Ladies.
It's one of my favourite.
I know it is. It is. And then the last but not least, the last person of the core group of characters, played by Hugo Spears, a guy called Guy.
Yeah.
And he's not really done that much. He was in a film called The Interpreter with Sean Penn.
Never seen him in anything else.
Yeah,
anything else.
And the running joke is he's got a massive dick, basically.
Yeah, he's got a massive dick.
Yeah. And that's his...
We'll just blow that load right off. But there you go.
There you go.
That's most of his characters got big dick.
Pretty much. But, and he's like probably the fittest one.
Yeah, he's the most attractive one. The one who's...
And he gets in a relationship with Lumper as well.
Yeah, no, it's cute.
Well, I'll get onto that. We'll get onto that. Right, so Full Monty, for those of you that don't know, basically it's a film. It's set in Sheffield in England, which is basically an kind of steelworks, coal mining town.
Industrial
heritage.
Town.
So
I love how you said in England, as if any of us we've got an international audience.
We might, we might. You never know. So basically, there's 6 unemployed men. 4 of them are ex-steel workers. And to make a little bit of money, enable for the main character Gaz to see his son, they decide to form a striptease act, basically inspired by the Chippendales, who were doing a show at the beginning of the film. Come to town, and it's like, oh, load of puffs, like, we can do better than that. And then you're off and running now with the story. So yeah, that's pretty much the film in a nutshell. In terms of what the film is about. So,
There's not much more to say about the plot. Really, that's not the main meat of the film. But the core plot is they want to make some money for themselves, really, for whatever individual reasons they've got, and they'll do it by doing a striptease. Because if they can do it, why not us?
100%.
Yeah.
Go for it, boys.
Go for it, lads.
They want to go with the full Monty. We'll say that a lot in this podcast. We're going to say that a lot in this podcast.
So,
what kind of things then, in terms of things you liked, things you disliked? Throw some things at me. Well, let's give the listeners something to think about.
Yeah. The things that I really, really liked about this was simply that ensemble, for one thing. That cast and the characters, they're really fun. They're fun characters. Flawed, but fun. They go through so much, but they never lose their humanity throughout. They're not just caricatures. They never lose their sense of humour, but these are people that are going through a bad part of their life, really.
Well, that's interesting you touch on that, because the actual core themes of the film, it touches, obviously the main thing is these guys are unemployed, and then the next big part of the plot is Gaz's relationship with his son, and father's rights. And then obviously, it hints at a character that has depression, a character that has impotence. I think it has themes of working class culture.
Yeah, but that's the other thing that I have to say that I love about it. It's an encapsulation of a very particular time in a very particular part of the world at that time in the late 1990s.
It is. You're right.
It's South Yorkshire in the mid to late 90s.
And this is coming from Yorkshire, man.
Well, exactly. And it's South Yorkshire. Yeah. It's all over it. It's there. It was filmed in Sheffield.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
But aside from a few scenes, which I don't even know which ones were filmed in sort of North Derbyshire, so it's just there. Yeah, anyway, up road.
Up road.
But yeah, and it encapsulates the mood of that part of the world, and what I really love about it. It's just got it's Yorkshireness all over it, but it's also it's north of Englandness in a way.
An industrial town. It's just an industrial town.
You know what I mean? Going through a very strange period in British history of not long before New Labour had just swept to power. We're in a point in history where
Labour,
something just wants to change. We're sick of it how it is. We want some change.
And kind of me leaning on that. One of the first things that I thought, I quite like that about the film is the opening, because it opens like, this is Sheffield, and come shopping in Sheffield, like an infomercial.
Yeah, the prosperous northern steel town of Sheffield,
and it shows factory workers
they're British, what they call British Pathé. Documentaries at the time, like Pathé News, it was a really big part of.
Yeah. It was like news, it was Reuters, basically.
Yeah, a big part of news. And so Yeah, it has that, and it's sort of like,
it just goes,
that's how it used to be, now look at it in 1997.
Yeah, and it just goes, and it's like, Sheffield sounds interesting, and the next shot is like, just a steel mill, just shut the fuck down, and they're robbing like a fucking iron bars out of there, like,
because and that's the thing about the plot, all of these people used to work in the steel factory, in the steel works, and there's so much about it that I can sort of see with my own hometown of Doncaster, like it's mining town, really. You know what I mean? On the outskirts, they had a bit of steel work as well. Nothing compared to Sheffield, but Sheffield is the bigger city.
Yeah,
and it's like those things were the absolute core of that community. Sheffield didn't really exist before the steelworks in the same way as a relatively small town called Sheffield, that basically like a coaching stop. But during the Industrial Revolution, these cities became what they are, and then all of a sudden in the 80s and 90s, they just
stop. Industry gone.
They just go. It just stops. And so obviously Pitt, near where I'm from, and it's almost like you're looking at a culture in a weird. It's psychological shock. It's almost like this place is dying.
How did
it's gone?
Yeah,
it's gone. It's just dying
that happened
now.
A lot in the UK.
It's just
in the late
dying,
70s, early
and
80s.
It's this attitude about the film of, all right, it's dying, but there's a lot to like here. So it's almost optimistic. It's almost like, let's make it not shit anymore. And that was very much the attitude in 1997, 1998 of how we should rejuvenate Britain. And there's films like this coming out saying, look, it's a bit of a shithole, but look how actually good these people are. They're funny and have real lives.
I mean, I've got thoughts and stuff about impacts of the film later. Just before it was made, and just what happened just after.
What do I like about it? It encapsulates the mindset of a people in a particular point in time, and it also happens to be my people as well. Like in a weird way.
And you can tell it's like mid to late 90s when you watch it again. This hasn't really got much to do with anything, but the print I watched, it's clear, it's really good. It's probably the best the film will ever look.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's a Blu-ray version, and I thought, I thought, right, it's crisp, it's clean.
And it looks great.
But again, and that's just because just because.
But but it wouldn't be anywhere near as compelling as without as main characters to anchor us to it and to explain why their life's a bit shit. But they're all right with it. They're getting by, and the reason that I fell in love with them is because there were so many funny bits, like really.
Do you know what? It's literally littered all the way. When obviously, as we do, we watch these films maybe for the first time in a long time. Again, going back to personal history, I remember watching this film on VHS, and it was at the arse end of the VHS days, because DVD come out in the very arse end of 98 and 99, definitely 99, that's when I...
But still, most people would have bought it on VHS.
100% VHS, so I remember watching VHS because when it come out at the time, it was fucking everywhere. Everywhere. I seen it, it was in the papers, I seen the billboards, I
remember distinctly the advert.
Because it's red, it's yellow and red, it's like bang, you can't not notice it.
I were only 7 at the time, 7 or 8.
I don't even know how old I was. Old.
402.
Yeah.
It's... But I still vividly remember it because it's such a striking image.
It is. I do remember it.
But it's a fun, light-hearted thing, but with a heart.
Well, this is the thing. If we go on to the characters in the film, the next thing I had a note of was I really, really enjoyed the father and son relationship between Gaz and his son. I didn't make a note of who his son was. I'm like, it's just a kid actor. It doesn't really matter. Yeah. But no, that relationship between them, there's a lot of banter, there's a lot of heart, there's a lot of love. Yeah. You know, he has that moment where he says to him, he you know, as they start stripping and he runs away and he chases after him and he's like, I fucking love you, daft sod. Yeah. And he's like, oh, all right, Dad, like, you know.
I like you.
Yeah.
I love you,
you like you. Yeah.
It's just a sweet moment, but even when they're doing weird stuff, because...
the rehearsal scenes and practicing. The first time he does it, that's the first time he does it, where he's like, right, I found, what records have you got? And he's like...
You sexy thing.
Oh, mate, the soundtrack. The
soundtrack. It won best soundtrack, the Oscar.
It did. It won the Oscar, yeah. It won Oscar for best soundtrack. Also, as well, it won quite a few awards. It won a BAFTA. It was nominated for a Best Picture Oscar. It was nominated for Best Director and Best Original Screenplay and... the best score for musical or comedy, and it won the musical or comedy score. Yeah, but that's prestige, that, for a little £3.5 million film.
Yeah, I know, exactly.
And I can kind of see why.
Yeah,
I can kind of see why, because it's one of those. It's bang on an hour and a half as well.
Yeah,
it's so condensed, and the story. There's no. It's lean, and I like that. Yeah. I like it.
It's all pulled by these characters and just really good scenes, well put together, telling a really simple story.
But you know what it does? The structure of the film, it starts off really quickly introducing all the characters in the job club because they're all unemployed, and then it sets the scene where Gerald used to be their gaffer.
Yeah, he used to.
So bang, there's all the characters, and then then it's only 20 minutes later where they're doing the audition scene, and then Hugo Spears' character Guy comes in and he drops his kegs. So you've got 20 minutes there, and then the next thing is you're setting the scene where. Right, so the Chippendales, I need to find this money because basically his missus has gone through some child maintenance to say he owes him 700 quid, and if he doesn't pay it then she's going to stop him seeing him. Yeah. Which is weird because at no point does she ever stop him seeing him.
Yeah, because she doesn't really want to, that's the thing. Again, it's just the plot, it's just a plot device. Thing. But it's just the scenes, the individual scenes that make the film.
Once it starts,
go on. Tell you a few then, right?
Go on.
The opening scene where they're walking through a factory together. And they're trying to get these bars so they can nick them, essentially. That whole scene it's really well done, and they show the band still plays. That's still big
with
part
Lomper,
of the community.
Lomper is the security
and they lay the groundwork with him. But it's so funny as well, and what first thing that made me properly belly laugh. Well, they have to cross the river, or canal or whatever, and they're on top of this car, and they've clearly made it one section, and they're just like, right, walk across this metal beam, right? And kid walks across, and he drops it in river when they shouldn't have.
It's like now they're stuck to the side.
Now they're stuck, and he tells him off, and little kid's like, right, fuck you then, and walks off, right. But then they're stuck on car, and the bloke walks past and just goes, "Oh wait up, someone's coming now." And the bloke walks past with dog, and are you all right? Right? And he just goes, which is the most fucking English thing to do. Yeah, I'm all right. I am not so bad. Right? And the other one stops him and goes, not so bad. That's a bloody good SOS, isn't it? It's not so bad. And he's like, yeah, I know, but what else do you say?
Yeah, it's good thing. Yeah, and it is like you say, it's littered with those little... Yeah. I thought it was genuinely funny. It was genuinely funny film.
Genuinely funny. I
laughed all the way through it. Yeah. And a couple of moments where I actually did laugh out loud.
Yeah. And that set the tone from me, right from the off. It's quippy. These people are quick and they're funny, and they know they're funny as well. Like
again, it's working class humour, mate. Yeah, everyone's quick. You've got to find something to defend yourself verbally.
Yeah, and it's quick and it's.
But like you were saying there, that adds scenes, and I think once it establishes, right, these are your main characters, right, this is the story. They want to get together, and he's got it in his head now. He needs to make money for this maintenance thing. And he's just going to get the people who he knows involved with it. But then the film is pretty much, I think, a journey of it. it pieces together the characters' stories as the film goes along.
Yeah.
It's like
very well done.
Really well done. Really well done. And that's the quality of the writing,
that
Mark.
Yeah.
The quality of the writing.
Really high.
Really
because literally, they introduce you to the core 3 people and then the rest of the ensemble cast. Mm-hmm. And they all get their first moment to shine. Every single one of them. They all have good moments.
Yeah.
Like Horse, when Horse gets introduced. Like I always think that whole montage of their auditioning people. First lads there, like I don't know.
That's Les Bassett.
He's Les
Bassett.
He's like,
that was funny, and he's like, he's like he doesn't want to, and he's took his jacket off, and he's like, do I really have to? And takes his sock off, and he goes, sorry lads, I can't do it. And he's like, should have brought the kids in.
Yeah, should have brought the kids in. No place.
This ain't a place for kids.
But I just like that face Robert Carlyle makes it to tell Nathan, the kid, to turn it off.
Just turn it off.
Turn it off. Just
it's not going well.
No, stop it there. When he's going to take his trousers off, stop it there.
Yeah.
Stop it there. But,
the next one's Horse.
And they're sat there like, like.
Bit weird.
Bit weird. It's up for 50. You know what I mean?
And then they get him, and he puts on what tune is it? Is it Hot Stuff by Donna Summer?
Yeah.
And he starts.
They do Hot Stuff by Donna Summer later. They do. I don't know the song. It just starts 1, 2, 3, do.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a good little thing. And then they introduce.
It could be a James Brown song off the top of my head. I don't know. I can't remember.
But it just fits perfectly.
And then you see him like groove. They're all grooving to it. Like the guy can move right easy.
Yeah.
Then the next character is Guy. And then he literally, he tries
to run up the. I like to run up what's me.
No, how he comes in and he's like, oh, so tell us about it. So he went, yeah, I'd like a bit of dancing. He went, you know that scene in my favourite film is Dancing in the Rain. You know when he runs up the side of the wall.
Yeah, and he runs up the side of the wall. Go on then. That sound that thumps down it.
And you just see him on his back, like, and they're all like, oh, that didn't go well. And then he stands up, just gets his dick out and they go, get in.
So why should we have you then? And it's like,
I've got this.
You're in.
Yeah, you're in. And it shows the faces the camera gives each character.
Again, Robert Carlyle's character, brilliant face work from him. It's just like, nods and like gestures for him to pull him up.
He approves.
All right.
And even his son, his jaw's like.
Yeah. But yeah, they all get a really good scene when.
They do.
Like, what's another scene that when they go practice the stripping or whatever they do. We need to practice stripping off, and they all go to Gerald's house, who were their former foreman.
No, but before they do the stripping, they go around to his house and he's like, "Come on, get your kit off."
Yeah, exactly.
And each character has a snipe at each other.
Yeah, it's a really good scene. What did I put about it? Really good banter. This is where they come out with do you know what my missus swears by? Yeah, shows them thongs and that. But do you know what my missus swears by? Because the fat lad's like, he's worried about
Mark Addy.
Yeah. He's like, look at this. He's not even that fat.
I know.
I thought that. I looked at it and I was like, that's my belly.
I thought, you're not really a fat bastard,
but they were. It's cling film, and he just goes, "I'm not a chicken drumstick, Gerald." Funny line. But then it carries on. Oh yeah, when he takes his trousers off, Robert Carlyle goes to Horse, because he's clearly got nothing, not a lot going on down there. Horse by name, horse by nature, eh? Horse.
Okay.
You know what I mean? A good scene, and then it builds to bailiffs coming, because they're unemployed. But the main thing about Gerald, the foreman count, he hadn't told his wife that he lost his job.
No, well, let's talk about that. So the character Gerald, played by Tom Wilkinson, So his scenes are all based around he is pretending to his wife that he's still employed, and he's been unemployed for 6 months, and he's keeping it a secret, and she's like, oh, I want to book skiing, and he's like, oh, just hang fire, love. And she's like, let's book skiing. So that sets his scene in terms of he's in the shit anyway because he's lying to his missus, and he's spending his time with these boys down the fucking job centre job club trying to find work. And he knows if his missus finds out, it's going to go to shit. So he's got that massive pressure there. That's his character. And then...
So in scenes like that, he's trying to figure out a way where he can make this money, and they'll make a lot of money by doing this stripping thing, so where it can tide him over until he's got his job and stuff like that. But bailiffs come. Yeah. The bailiffs come and try and take all his stuff, but because they've all stripped off in there, they come out and go, put down and piss off.
It says that, and he just goes,
put down and piss off. Right. I'll just check with the office.
Yeah,
or whatever.
that's what
he's
he
like,
says.
oh, thanks, lads. That's when he really gets on board with it.
Yeah.
It's a really great scene.
And again, going back to the group dynamic, the way Lomper's introduced, Gaz and Dave are just doing a bit of a jog, and they notice a guy in a car, and he's like, "You're all right, mate," and he's like, "Oh, I can't get my engine to start."
Yeah.
And they realise he's got a fucking tube. He gets it at Mark Addy's character, Dave. Like, he fixes his car basically, and then he's like, "Are you all right, mate?" Yeah. And you see a tube going into the other, like the passenger side window, and you see all this smoke pumping in, and Mark Addy just walks off. And as he gets like halfway up to Robert,
he realises
he's trying to top himself.
He realises it's trying to top himself, so he runs back, and I think it's a really good moment where he's like, "Oh shit," and runs back.
And you know what they do as well? They almost, "You're my mate now because we saved your life. We're including you now."
Yeah,
and then he's with him all the time. Then.
But that's what
they do. That's what
good nature. That's really how good natured they are. These two are proper friends with each other, and they're like, they can see this person's in a bit of a shit, so they make friends with him. But I have to say, there's a great moment when he pulls him out the car, and because he's trying to top himself, he goes, "You bastard!" Right? Yeah. So beats him up, puts him back in. Right?
Brilliant.
Bastard.
Really good moment. Really good moment. Here's a point I want to ask you.
Even when they're sat just talking, like, and he's like, "So why?" But they're not asking, "So why do you want to top yourself?" They're on about, you could jump off a bridge, can't stand heights, mate.
He went, "Oh,
I do get, you could drown yourself," and he goes,
"Can't swim."
And you went, "You've got to swim, you divvy. That's the point." Like,
but I want to ask you a question.
Oh yeah.
Do you think he's killing him? No, it doesn't. This is a question I thought while I was watching the film. Do you think he's trying to kill himself because he's gay or because he's unemployed?
I think it's it. What's so well done about Lomper's character is that it's everything. He's unemployed. He's unfulfilled.
And his mum's and all that. And his mum dies.
And his man's clearly an invalid as well. Like, he's just got a lot on his plate, and he don't feel like he can take it anymore. And that's the thing. It's not about him at all, but just the film isn't about him. But they put such good work into just a supporting character. Yeah. Oh, and that's why he tried to kill himself. Now we'll save him, and he can realise that again, that there is value to life. If you know what I mean, he'd given up, and then
because he's got someone that just gives him a chance and helps him.
And it's really nice, and he's a good character. His Lomper as well.
Don't have much to do.
He doesn't have much to do, but what the stuff that he does do is really good. You know when because Gerald's got a sunbed, right?
Right, and so that's funny. They go to. We only want an hour.
Yeah, they all come round. No, fuck off. Oh, come on, mate. We only want an hour.
I only want an hour.
And he lets him in, shows him sunbed, and they're looking through a magazine, and it's like, do you fancy her? And he goes, no. You get Lomper goes, no, tits are too big.
Yeah,
right.
And they're all
that's a good little bit of foreshadowing because he hasn't come out yet, and that sort of thing gay lads say.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh no, tits are too big.
I clocked that straight away. I watched that. I was like,
all right. Then great line from Mark Addy. Then it was like, he makes the very good point. Well, I just hope the women don't think about it like
and then they all
we
shit
do.
themselves.
And then because they'll realise, what if they take one look at us, they say in the film, and discover that he's too fat, he's too old, and he's a pigeon-chested little tosser. Like,
Brilliant.
Bang!
Brilliant
line. But then follows it up with, it's like, yeah, but we're blokes, and, I'm sure she's got a nice personality.
Yeah.
And he again goes, well, yeah, they won't give a shit about your personality anyway, which is good, because you're basically a bastard.
Yeah.
You're like, boom! Funny line.
And he's on his foot. Yeah, it's like they're all in the room, and it's a small room. It's really good the way they film it. Yeah. Again, full of great character moments. But I must say, the first thing I did notice that I didn't really agree with, and again, I think in terms of characters in the film. Anyway, so at the beginning of the film, when he's walking past the Chippendales and he meets a couple of birds, and he's like, "Oh, why do you want to go?" And the queue's massive outside, and he's like, "Why do you want to go and watch a couple of those puffs?" But puff, in terms of a derogatory remark, is used a lot in the film.
Yeah, but again, it's sort of time and place.
I agree.
100% forgive it. And I don't mind. If you called me a puff, I wouldn't be bothered. All right, some of the gays I might get gay lynch mob at me. But I don't think so. In Britain now, we've sort of reclaimed that word. Yeah, you can call me a pup.
Yeah.
So when we see that where they're using it as an insult, I'm not really bothered. It's a fun word. It's a good word, but I'm not hurt by it in any way. And he doesn't really mean that. He just means fancy boy.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I know.
He
means fancy boy.
I get that, but as well, I think even that gay angle in terms of Guy and Lomper's characters.
Yeah.
It's like when they're at Lomper's mum's funeral, and Gaz and Dave are stood like a bit away and they're having a cig, and he's like,
they're holding hands. But I always found that quite funny, that bit.
Yeah, but I think if you're going to have gay characters, then give them a bit more, because literally you see them. Oh, there's something there between them. Like Guy probably likes a bit of Lomper. And then they're holding hands next to the grave, and then that's it. That's the only. You only get.
I mean, for one, the film, he don't really need it, but he does show really well. Oh, they actually fancy each other without them. Nowadays, they'd just be snogging. Yeah. But there's just a nice little scene where they're looking at each other, and I don't think either of them knew they actually fancied each other, although they kind of do, because there are a few moments where it's like, "Oh, shut up, saggy tits," or whatever.
Yeah, he does.
Lomper.
Yeah, Guy says to Lomper.
You know what I mean?
Like,
there's clearly that.
Yeah, like tries to flirt a touch.
But it's not too much. But yeah, and when they're there holding hands, they do the always notice queer as folk thing, and they're laughing, and it's like, yeah, it's fine, because the way he said it was quite funny,
I think as well, another thing I noticed was
there's no malice there. There's no malice there. No. That's why, even though I can just go, it's 1997. There's no malice there.
Yeah, no, because he's my mate, but I can call him a puff because he's my mate. Kind of attitude, and I get that. I like you say, time and place and stuff. Don't you think though, when they are? I know it's a film about unemployed dudes. Right, but when they're in the job club, again, when it introduces Gerald and Gaz and Dave properly, and that's what they do with the days, they're just trying to find work. Yeah. He almost, gets a fucking placard out, Robert Carlin goes, "This is what happened in the UK," and he's like, I say that because if you listen to the conversation that they have, he's like, "We're bloody working hard, us boys, and we've been out of work, and I was like, oh, stop hammering it now. I know. I did feel that for a moment in that scene. It was kind of like, here it is, here you go, hammer on the head, hitting the point home, and I'm like, alright.
You are looking at it distinctly from 2021's perspective, though. In 1997, it's almost like the country was in a point where that sort of thing needed to be said. It needed to be hammered home at that point.
Message, culture, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just... And it's set in a particular time when many things were happening, context-wise. Britain wanted kind of change, so it's a bit like that.
Yeah, I get that though, but again, it's the only messagey type scene in the film, but it does kind of go bang on, making whether it was the writer's decision or whatnot but it's clearly a speech to go, oh, I'm reflecting society at this moment in time. I get that. Yeah. I get that. Also, again, I feel like I'm not really nitpicking, but I think there's a...
Well, sorry to interrupt, but I do sort of agree, because I put down as one of my positives, like I said, it's setting and where it is. But I put one of my criticisms is the exact same thing. It's now very dated. It's now very late 90s.
Yeah, you can tell. Yeah.
So I think that's what it is. That's the sort of thing that they wanted in 1997. Yeah. But we're not in 1997 now. We're in 2021. So that's sort of
25 years ago.
Yeah, it's both a positive and a negative thing. But I think that's basically what we're saying with that.
Okay. Yeah. Another thing that was a bit niggly for me, so Dave's character, at the beginning when they kind of break into the Chippendale gig that's going on, and Robert Carlyle's character Gaz overhears a conversation between Dave's missus and her friends. And they're going on about, oh, this guy fancies you, and she's like, oh, fuck off, no, he doesn't, And he's like, oh, well, you get the hint that their relationship with with Dave isn't all, it's not great at the minute, right? But Dave's storyline and for the plot line for that character in the film is, I think it tries to, and again the tone is weird of that character, because he kind of makes out that he don't want to do it because he feels like he's fat and horrible, but then it explicitly has a conversation with Gerald, like 2/3, like two-thirds into the film, where Gerald's like, I'm a bit scared, and he's like, why? And he's like, because when I was young I went swimming and I was in little trunks and all these pretty girls walked past and I got a fucking hard on. And he went, oh, you're talking to the wrong guy. So you're impotent, is that the issue? Or are you fat? It never clarified, because when his missus, you see a bedroom, there's a couple of bedroom scenes, and she's like, oh, come on, Big Dave, like his little pet name for him, and he's like, oh no, I'm all right. But he never has a conversation with anyone to go, I've got a problem here.
Yeah, but that's...
And is he fat, or is he impotent, or is he fucking both?
I think it's both. It's both, isn't it? It's just... It doesn't need an express scene. It's just supposed to be put in your head that he might be. You know what I mean? It doesn't need an express scene where the character goes, he is in fact impotent.
No, I know,
but you know what I mean?
You'd think there'd be some place in the film where we had a conversation with Gaz to go, what's going on between you and blah blah blah, and Gaz to go around and go, talk to me, and then Dave goes, we're having a problem, because that to me would be a bit more of a realistic angle in terms of the storyline for that character.
Yeah, okay. But
again, I'm picking because overall, mate, I didn't find a lot that I could pick or that I disliked, or on the whole, I've got a lot of positive things from it.
Yeah, well,
because it's just a good film. It's just a good film.
It will hold your gaze all the way through it, and you'll be entertained and you'll laugh, and you'll get a connection with these characters. You'll pretty much get them all. There isn't anyone who's unlikable in it. That's one thing that I definitely noticed as a like.
I agree.
I didn't dislike any of them.
Agree.
They all brought something to the table. 100%. They all have their funny moments, like we said. You know what I mean? They're all quick. They've all got.
Like you say, you said at the beginning of the conversation, they all have moments to shine, and again, I really like the structure of the film because it introduces the characters, and as the film gets, because literally now you're waiting for him to do the strip at the end. That's all you're waiting for. Once it gives you that storyline.
They have a really obvious lowest point where they get arrested for it because they get caught.
They get
doing
caught
it.
stripping.
You know what I mean? Really good moment actually, really where they're watching it on the police CCTV.
Really good.
It's like he goes, "You're always ahead there."
Yeah, Gerald says to Gaz, "You're always ahead in that time."
Can I take the thing? And there's all police behind there watching and laughing.
Yeah, watching him do the strip.
And then where he always makes me laugh when policeman interviewing him goes, he's right. You're ahead. Oh, fuck off.
That is a funny scene. Like I said, even that, it's
but the plot is just
a quick glow and then bang, we got right now. We're past that now. Yeah. Every moment, like you're saying, it's pushing. All
yeah, just. Here's what we're going to do is with these characters, they've encountered a problem now, and it's almost like all of their problems come home to roost all of a sudden. He can't see his kid anymore because he got called by the police.
His missus is again, mate.
And his missus is. But I get the feeling that they went through it were a bad breakup, but...
Well, she's with someone else, lives with her.
Yeah, and again, we don't know the backstory.
No, we don't.
And that's the thing. That's another thing. The film is tidy. We don't need to know. So many films nowadays are going to a bit of a diatribe as to why, and you're like... You don't need to know. It's a tight little film.
Very much so.
And so, obviously, there were bad stuff, but they hint at it really well, where he goes round to her house when he found out that she'll have sole custody.
Yeah, he's got the letter,
and she goes, you don't even like going to your house. And just this nasty thing to say. But then, also... You get the feeling that there's more behind it. Really well done, you know what I mean? And he's like, that's not true in it, but it is true. That kid's clearly said that kid's said.
And it's like Nathan, that's his son's name, Nathan.
You know what I mean? And he really,
you can't hear me through your triple glaze.
Yeah, he can't hear me through triple glazing. And even that, he's using his humour to cover it up we all do. But especially, you know.
Yeah.
And... Even that's a good scene. It hints at all the problems and just carries on with it because it's not relevant.
Yeah, like you say, it doesn't need it.
Really well done. And they don't dwell on any subplot.
No.
That, like Gerald, he's lost his job. And he hasn't told his wife, and he don't want her while she's fucking about with the fucking Barclay card spending.
Oh no, he breaks down. He does break down.
He does break down, and I can see why. But also, when finally she finds out, because our bailiffs have come round, he's also like, "Oh, Gerald, you could have just said
I know.
6 months ago.
Like
I know it's what." But
she's like, "I'm your wife."
I understand. I understand, and he's been collecting these knowns for her because she thought she liked him. She just
smashes it.
No, Gerald, I've never liked him.
Yeah.
You know,
plus, he gets the job at the end.
He does get the job,
interview scene,
and he deserves it as well because he's a really good guy. He's just someone who obviously was really super good at his job.
Yeah.
Bit of an arsehole foreman, but actually all his staff actually kind of respected him.
Yeah.
You know, that's. Even Gary respects him, and at first they have a very antagonistic relationship.
Very much so. He goes to leather him.
Yeah, I know.
He goes to fucking leather him.
You forget, Gerald, you're not our foreman anymore.
Yeah, that's it. And Robert Carr's diving over fucking desks and shit to get him.
Exactly. Really good. And you know, one of the culminations of Horse's little subplot is whatever's going on with his Willie, and obviously he's there on the phone, with his penis enlargement pump.
Like, no.
Because obviously the main problem is that he hasn't got much going on down there, and it's a great scene where he's obviously got a bit of a Scouse accent, and he's like, he's there. No, you didn't give me any instructions.
Yeah,
like,
it's just holding it in his hand.
Just I've got that. And he's like, well, it's just not working. And then he pauses and he goes, what do you mean? In what sense? It's not working in the sense that it's not working.
No, don't make me No, I can't speak up. No, he's not. And he's in a phone box just on an empty street.
No, I can't.
He's whispering.
You know what I mean? That's his little culmination. Yeah. Lomper and Gary. Guy. Sorry. They already had their moment when they got together. You know what I mean? They have a nice every little character's problem that would stop them doing the main culmination, which is obviously the striptease.
The full Monty.
Full Monty is sorted out. So we dropped all our little subplots. We didn't dwell on them. We moved the plot along. Yeah. Nice little characters and
again,
just tight
all the way through.
Little film.
An hour and a half. Tight.
Yeah, really, really tight. Really well done. And fun.
It is a fun film. I did enjoy it. I did enjoy it, mate. And like you say, there's loads of really good lines, funny lines, genuinely
another
funny.
one that I'd forgotten, when after they'd done the "you're too fat, you're too old, you're a pigeon-chested little tosser," and after they'd done "which is good because you're basically a bastard," or before, I can't remember, it's like, anti-wrinkle cream there maybe, but anti-fat bastard cream there is none. Like, and I've loved that. I've even fucking used that. If ever I see anti-wrinkle cream on anything, my immediate first thought is anti-wrinkle cream there maybe, but anti-fat bastard cream there is none. You know, funny lines all the way through.
Yeah, it is. And again, you know, I did say I enjoyed it watching it again. I enjoyed it. Again, I don't think it'd be on my hit list, but I enjoyed it, and I remember, I thought, I enjoyed it for what it was. It was of its time, and, you know, obviously I do understand it did and have an impact on British cinema shortly after it came out. There was a period of a few years after. But I think as well, what kind of probably got that film made was the success of a film called Trainspotting that come out a year before. And I think Trainspotting had this image of Cool Britannia, again linking into this
exactly
Labour thing.
Exactly, that was one of New Labour's thing, a new start. Tony Blair literally, on the day he won the election, as the sun came up over the horizon, you could not get more prophetic, literally turned to a screaming crowd. A new dawn has broken, has it not? You know, it was all part of this attitude that Britain needs renewal. And these forgotten about places to use it. They're alive as well, and I think that's
I can see that.
And here's what I really, really liked about it, and it might be something that only I in this conversation would really get, and I've already touched upon it. It's just how set in a place it is. It's set in Sheffield, and you know, I want from Sheffield, but nearby, it resonates, and I think in a way Trainspotting does the same thing for Glasgow. You know what I mean? For people who are from Glasgow and the surrounding areas, it's not just a good film. There's a little bit something extra here. There's a little bit of home, and I think even you get that being from north of England, just other side of Pennines. You know, you'd still get that very much that attitude here as well. But
again, it's with the kind of legacy of the film of that era. You know, again, I think Trainspotting was the first. It was a massive hit, Trainspotting, and then I think a film like Full Monty was able to be funded. And then, obviously, that turned into being nominated for Best Film, Best Director, which is big prestige. And then, obviously, people were like, there's something going on here in British cinema in the late 90s. There's definitely something going on. Again, it was a period of Cool Britannia. And I remember that period really vividly. I remember there was Loaded magazine, there was Lads magazine, there was, you know, these ladette culture, and do you know what I mean? That was at its peak. You know, you had the Blur and Oasis had been going on, and you know, 96, 97, 98, and again, the impact of what Full Monty did is it not only did it sit on its own to go, we can sit amongst the big boys being nominated for Oscars and shit, but impacts in terms of the soundtrack, and Hot Chocolate were back in the charts after it, and because Hot Chocolate fucking cool as fuck anyway.
They reintroduced him to people who would have forgotten, and they'd get. I mean, the soundtrack's just really good. Even
Tom
just
Jones
the smart,
as well. Even the last scene where they do, which again goes slightly rewinding. Mate, it lasts about 60 seconds, you know, that strip at the end. Do you know? I was like, fucking hell, that's it, it's built up to that and it's done.
It's done.
And they just bang cocks out, done, asses out, and then that's it, freeze frame, like, Tom Jones, Leave Your Atom, which is a very good choice of song. Brilliant. Brilliant.
Well, I bet you when people hear that song, if they've seen this film, they'll think of that scene. It's,
do you know what? They did that for real, you know, they did it for real.
Yeah,
they did that for real. Just like, right, we're doing it one take, done.
Yeah. It looks like they had fun as well doing that.
And
that's a weird thing that, and I always noticed it when I were a kid. It's almost like there's a little bit of a subplot with him and his ex-missus, of them sort of coming to terms with each other because of how she looks at him. He throws the belt and she catches it. There's a little glint in her eye of where she think, I actually kind of fancy you again a little bit.
Touching upon that, do you not notice because he's like just before he goes out on stage, because Gaz is the one that shits himself.
Yeah, he's the one who
come on, we're ready now. He's like, oh, no,
little kid, it's the one.
Again, the father-son relationship.
Yeah, where that little lad going, I've had enough of this, and you get out there and do your job.
And he says, oh, my mum's boyfriend's not here tonight.
Yeah.
See how it hints there, and that links into what you were saying about like,
it's a weird subplot
but never builds upon.
But to bring it up right at the end of the film, there's this little glint in her eye when she catches his belt or whatever, and it's kind of sweet. It could sort of be read as like, I can see why I used to like you, and I do like you in a way, but it's over and done with. It could also be read, oh, I actually really fancy you again, and he's already said he's not here or whatever.
Hello.
Weird. So if that's what you meant, weird subplot to bring up. If the former you meant, then it's like, oh, all right, then that's nice. Yeah. But it's not clear.
She has a son, anyway. And it doesn't have to be horrible.
But that's not really a criticism. That's
not at all.
That's just a.
And it's an observation.
I noticed that. But that's the thing. That's one thing that I do want to say about this film. I struggled to find real negatives that I really. I want to raise that.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah. I'm the same. But again, going back to its kind of impact, its immediate impacts in terms of culture and British film industry immediately after it. So, do you remember Prince Philip doing Prince Charles, reenacting, and it's on YouTube. Like, there was some sort of, I can't remember what it was, but he reenacted when they're all practicing and they're all in the job queue, in the dole queue, and they all start doing the moves, don't they? Start practicing them, which is a very, again, that scene was shown. Full Monty,
that were on the trailer. That bit, Donna Summer.
Yeah, the Donna Summer
sings hot stuff. Great little scene, by the way.
But Prince Charles reenacted it.
Yeah. It's one of those.
So what does that say in terms of cultural impact I think
certainly
pop culture?
It's got to be said. I think in our culture, it's a big one to us. Relatively one that most, I think, British people have relatively fond memories of. Do you know what I mean? Think of fondly.
Yeah, I mean,
I did listen to a few things on the internet, and there were a lot of Americans, and only problem they said about it was they didn't always understand the particular colloquialisms, and that's such a small thing.
Yeah,
and I do think it's well regarded. That's why it gets
so much money. That's why it gets fucking bank.
And it's well regarded film. I think almost universally, it's good film.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Right, so talking about that, I think that leads us on to our kind of final thoughts, and let's kind of summarise with what we both thought of it. So, Mark, give me your final thoughts, summarisation of the full Monty.
Basically, I don't think it'll shock much of our audience to know. I really liked it. I had a fantastic time watching it.
Okay.
It were nostalgic, big history buff, so it made me think about that particular time in history as well. It made me. Okay, this sounds a bit twatty, but proud to be a Yorkshireman.
I get that. I know
you know what I mean. It's just a good moment of these people, and to get surround working men's clubs that get sort of places where any of my parents might have gone. You know what I mean? And I've met these people. I've met people like this,
like salt of the earth, good arts.
Do you know what I mean? And people, and I think people have everywhere, and you just connect to it, and it's so well written, and it's so tightly done. Of just it's well done. Anything they had a nice simple plot. They introduced us to fun characters. They had good banter. They had heart, though. That's the thing. I feel like this film's got a lot of heart.
I agree.
And it's sweet natured. It's funny. it's got something to say as well. It's not just not just
hitting that message.
He's got something to say as well, which is, it's not just a surface level, oh, this is funny, aren't they funny people? Yeah, they are, because they're struggling through stuff, you know, and they're trying to rationalise it themselves. It's just a really well put together film. And it's an assembled a team kind of film in a way. In a way where you might watch a heist film. He's not a heist, he's put together in a striptease, but he's assembling his team. Because, like, Gerald's clearly, although Gaz is the leader, Gerald is clearly... and he's also very much his second-in-command sort of person. You know what I mean? It's a power struggle. He's his go-to elder statesman of this group. You know what I mean? It's assembling a team.
That's true, that, yeah.
You know what I mean? And they've all got very individual sets of skills. It just happens to be that one of their skills is got a big cock, but they're doing a striptease, so it's an essential skill, isn't it?
There you go, yeah. What more do you need?
You know what I mean? It's a good, tight little film where they begin, this is the aim, these people are going to go and do it. Shenanigans.
This is their lives, and then they strip.
Sweet.
Yeah. So, what's your verdict?
I had such a good time, and I ummed and ahed.
Okay.
I'm gonna rate it highly, because I enjoyed it so much.
Okay.
I had a really, really good time. So much of a good time that I'd almost forgotten how high this film ranks to me anyway, if you know what I mean.
Interesting.
So, I was going to give it an 8.
Okay.
Because I had such a good time. But then, after a second watch, because I sort of watched it once and then briefly sort of like skipped through again. No, I gave it a 9. A low 9.
Wow.
I had such a good time with it. I had such a good time.
Wow, a 9. That's your first. Is that the first 9?
Yeah. It's by no means a perfect film, and I think someone could rate it, and I'd have no basis other than just nitpicky stuff to argue if you gave it a 7, 8, or a 9.
Okay.
You know, because I'd give it a 9 because I really enjoyed it. I can see someone being a 7 and being like, oh, I kind of enjoyed it, but I can't see anyone saying 6, which is sort of like a good meh, or a 5, which is a meh.
It's not,
you know what I mean?
It's not 5
it's
and a
not
6.
Those. So I can see your argument at least down to 7, and I can push myself and say I had such a good time. No, I'll give you the 9.
Wow.
Right, actually.
Wow.
But I can see that it is flawed, but don't bother me. And that might be part of who I am, or part of like why I am like I am, or it might be because like it's from that place in the world.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said this, yeah. I get that. So, right.
So yourself after that diatribe.
Right. So, my summarisation of my thoughts on this film, I'll have to be honest with you, mate. I kind of went into it in terms of thinking, is this... Because I hadn't seen it since I first watched it. Genuinely. I just swerved it. I've not bothered getting it on DVD, and I've never bothered watching it on streaming or anything like that. Even watching it was on fucking TV. Just swerved it. I'm like, not for me. That I'd definitely watch other things over this any other day. I went into it thinking, or I was probably hoping that this is one of those films where I'm going to watch and go, that's a lost British classic, because even though it's almost, for me, it seems like it's one of those films that people don't talk about in terms of, that's a great British film. Great. Do you know what I mean?
I guess not.
And I went into it thinking, or maybe I was hoping more that I was going to think, wow, this is one of those great British lost films, and this isn't the last time I'm going to watch this film. And again, I'm just being honest with you. I really enjoyed it. You know, before we did the show, before we recorded this, you know, I did briefly say to you, I really enjoyed it. And I did, Mark. I really enjoyed it for what it was, and it did make me laugh. And I think the writing's really good. It's such a tight little film, and I love that it's an hour and a half, and it says everything it needs to say. It's very lean type of film, and I appreciate that it has things in it where I can see why it would be nominated, because the writing's really good and the directions does what it says on the tin, you know, and the cast is so good. The cast is so good, and they work so well together. But I found myself wanting, in terms of, again, maybe I'm disappointed myself going into it thinking I really want it to be one of those films. It's like a lost classic. Again, because I don't think it's in... People don't really necessarily... When you talk about classic British films in general, I don't think anyone would put Full Monty on that list, personally. But again, I feel like that's really fucking harsh. But I'm not... I didn't have a lot of criticism for the film. I really enjoyed it. I thought it's a very funny film. So, my rating... It's funny what you were saying when you was giving your summarisation, but I swayed between a 7 and an 8.
Okay.
I swayed, and I wasn't sure. I was like, do I give it an 8 to go? I get why it's got... because it's good. Could I give it an 8 just because I thought it's a really good film? But then again, I always have this thought, like, I wanted it to be a lost British classic, and in my opinion, I don't think it is.
Okay.
Great film, but again, I'm being harsh and I'm expecting more.
I think maybe you blew yourself out of an higher rating by imagining that it was going to be anything and get it what it pretended to be, and I think that is a good thing. You might be being a little bit harsh, but like I say, I think a 7 or an 8 is justifiable. I think 6 would be unjustifiable. I rated it highly because of very particular circumstances, really, of not just where it's from, just it's the sort of thing that I would naturally like anyway, right? So I've rated it highly because it's a film I enjoy and I do revisit it. Okay. You know what I mean?
Again, I've not seen it since I first seen it.
I do think it's not a classic. You're right. It's not a classic.
It isn't.
But it's a really, really, really good second tier of those things. I mean, they were even made by the B team of Fox. Like, it's one of the best things like that I've ever seen, and it knows what it is. And so I would put it as a classic, but I can see why you give it a 7 or an 8. So why would you give it a 7 or an 8? Because you haven't told me actually which one you did.
And I eventually settled on a 7.
Okay.
Because it's a very good film, and I think I would be happy to recommend it to someone who hasn't seen it for a long time, to go, it's a good little film, but it's not... I think its legacy maybe has outweighed its actual standing in terms of where does it sit in...
Maybe, and I think
it was an important film. It was an important film, and it had an impact. And I think I really appreciate that. I appreciate a film that's different and it gets massive and has some sort of, again, you know, when you've got Prince Charles. I think it was Prince Charles. So one of the royals did like a reenactment. I'm like, well, that's the antithesis of a pop culture. You've a person from the British royal family has seen the film and he's reenacting it because it's such an iconic thing, and I respect that. And again, I would never go low like a 6, but would I put it in my 8 score bracket films? No.
Okay.
But I fucking really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
But it's a good film, and I'm quite happy for me to have that opinion to go, I really enjoyed it, Mark. It's a good film, and I don't need to really say any more than that.
No. I think that's realistically our conclusion to the listeners. Is it a good film? Yes.
It is a good film, guys.
We both agree.
It is a good film. Again, and if it's a film, the listeners out there, if it's something you haven't seen for a long time, I'd highly recommend it.
Watch it, yeah.
Watch it, guys, because it is funny. Again, just because I'm rating it a 7 and there's a bit of a distance between 7 and 9, watch it, guys, and make your own mind up. And just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And on that note, we'd like to say thank you, guys. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening, as always. And we hope to see you again very, very soon. So it's goodbye from me.
And me.
And we'll see you down the road.
Bye.